As of January in Massachusetts, 4 of the state's 6 constitutional offices will be held by women. But the top prize, governor, still eludes a woman winning in her own right here. We wondered, why?
The right candidate that everyone supports or that everyone can get behind just hasn't come along yet.
You have a lawyer who's an attorney general, but you don't have anybody from the business community that's actively in politics.
And you think that would be the key for winning the governorship for a woman?
Yes.
I was surprised that being a Democratic state that she didn't win.
Martha Coakley.
Yes.
A lot of people are kind of friendly and outgoing, and she just doesn't seem to be like that.
Do you think the Massachusetts will yet see a woman governor?
Yes.
How long?
Hopefully the next election.
What do you think happens first? A woman president or a woman elected governor of Massachusetts?
Governor of Massachusetts.
You think?
Yeah, we're a little bit more forward than the rest of the country.
So fresh from their 4th turkey sandwich, what are we, 4 or 5? And do you do the whole thing? Do you put the cranberry sauce in the whole thing?
Ready for a nap.
Ready for a nap right now.
Napping,
Mary Ann
totally.
Marsh is with us this morning, and Rob Gray is with us. There are currently 5 female governors in the United States of America, including Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire. Why are there not more than 5?
Well, I think it reflects society. Politics reflects society. We have very few women as CEOs of business, on their boards, running academic institutions, running media outlets, all of that. So women aren't in any of these positions, and as a result, politics sadly is no different and should be leading instead of following.
Yeah.
But here in Massachusetts, we are going to have probably the majority of state government being run by women, and if you look at Charlie Baker, 2 of his first 4 cabinet secretary picks are women as well.
The worker bees.
The worker bees, without question. All right, I want to talk about Ferguson. The grand jury in Ferguson has spoken. There is no indictment against Darren Wilson. The immediate reaction hasn't been good. Do you see any long-term ill effects, Rob, from this, or any long-term gains nationally from this?
Well, it just shows you that race relations in this country is going to continue to be a challenge. It doesn't matter what party is in control, and it also shows you that local government matters. You know, who the mayor is, who the DA is matters. Here in Boston, we've done pretty well with it, but there are a lot of hot spots in the rest of the country.
This video you're looking at here is from the night the decision was made. They used smoke, they used tear gas to try to drive back the crowds. Mary Ann, there was the predictable destruction in the city of Ferguson, cars burned.
Well, predictable, but you always hope for the best, right? And I think what this really speaks to is the fact that even though we've elected the first African-American president of the United States, 7 years serving now, it does not erase centuries of race problems in this country. And that's the real issue here. Simply electing a president of the United States didn't change this outcome. Sadly, have we made progress yet? Far way to go.
Let's bring the conversation back home. Governor Patrick is getting lots of heat from all sides on his decision to cut local aid in his budget. Last week it was Mayor Walsh here on OTR. This morning you heard Dan Rivera from Lawrence. Charlie Baker and many other state house leaders are, shall I say, on their side on this particular issue. Is the Patrick going to lose this battle on Beacon Hill, Rob?
Yeah, quack, quack, he's a lame duck. and especially after the election happened. Will there be a local aid cut? There probably will be something, but not even close to the magnitude that the governor would want. You know, Charlie Baker and the elected legislators who probably have to run for re-election at some point don't want to be part of that, cleaning up Deval Patrick's mess.
Is Rob right, quack, quack?
Well, he's right in that DeLeo and Murray both oppose it. So when you have the Speaker of the House and the Senate President opposing it, and they're in informal session, it would only take one lawmaker to shut the whole thing down between now and January.
To quote what Bill Parcells once told me, it is what it is. You know, don't make any more of it than what it really is. I use that to preface this question. Mary Ann, Senator Elizabeth Warren makes her first trip to the Mideast as a U.S. Senator. Do we read anything into this?
I don't. Everyone else seems to. I don't. I think this has everything to do with her new leadership position, where she's expected to weigh in on many issues. She is one of the very few senators who's been there for 2 years who has not traveled abroad, number one. And number two, she's really stuck with her only doing local press, really mostly economic stuff. You know, it's time for her to do this. Voters here expect it.
Rob, do you think she's dipping her toe into the presidential water, or is it just what a United States Senator does?
I mean, we've seen this movie before. She's checking a box that you need to check if you want to run for president. I was there in 1998. My old boss, Governor Paul Cellucci, got a call from then Governor George Bush saying, I need to go to Israel. I need somebody to go along with me so it doesn't look like I'm going to Israel because I want to run for president. And what did he do? A year later, ran for president.
She's not running.
Switching the conversation to a former opponent of Senator Warren, Scott Brown, meanwhile, has been invited back to be a commentator at Fox Network. Will his profile continue to rise, even with these two big losses behind him, Rob?
Well, I don't think his profile is going to rise, but I think he wants to remain relevant. Being on Fox is part of that. Remember, he lost in New Hampshire, but it was close enough that he could be a player in the Republican presidential stakes in terms of endorsing somebody, because 90+% of Republicans voted for him. So in a primary situation, he could still be a potent endorsement.
A lot of people were surprised that Fox invited him back. Do you see him running with this at all, Marianne?
I think it's an opportunity for Scott Brown to get back on the failed Republican candidate speaking circuit, which can be very lucrative even if you've lost twice. And I think this will help him do that.
What he's really seeking out is a knockdown, drag-out on the air at
with
Fox.
Marianne.
And
you know what?
Never going to happen.
I will grab the popcorn and pay for that one.
That would be as tough a ticket. That would be as tough a contest as James Shaheen.
I would put money on that.
Speaking of, I want to talk about Steve Wynn. His company is once again being looked at by the IRS and other federal agencies for possible money laundering and other alleged monetary malfeasance. Marianne, could this possibly derail his license in Everett?
The biggest roller coaster in Massachusetts isn't at Six Flags, it's the Casino Commission. And you look at the way they've handled this and anything else could derail anything. Everything's happened so far. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I disagree. Nobody wants to open this up. The newly elected governor and constitutional officers, they want to cash Steve Wynn's big check, keep cashing them year after year, and move on. So I think
they're going to ignore it as much as possible?
Absolutely.
We can't ignore a commercial break. We're going to take that right now. Stay with us.